I need to walk you through a significant development that just occurred with this winter storm system, and what I'm seeing in the latest model runs is frankly concerning. The track of this storm has shifted in ways that are going to fundamentally change who gets hit hardest, and I'm talking about a scenario where the East Coast is now facing impacts that are substantially more severe than what we were forecasting just 36 hours ago. We're looking at a major winter storm that's going to affect over 100 million people from the Gulf Coast all the way through New England. And the overlap of heavy snow, destructive ice, and life-threatening cold is going to create conditions that some of these areas haven't seen in years. This isn't just about snow totals anymore. This is about a pattern shift that's bringing Arctic air much farther south than originally anticipated, and that's opening the door for snowfall in places like northern Florida, where snow is exceptionally rare. I'm going to break down exactly what's changed, where the highest impacts are now expected, and what this means for the timeline going forward. Let me start with what's happening right now as we head into the evening hours on February 1st. We have a developing low-pressure system that's currently positioned over the southern plains, and this system is beginning to tap into Gulf moisture more aggressively than earlier models suggested. Freezing rain and sleet are already ramping up across eastern Texas, northern Louisiana, and southern Arkansas. If you're in Shreveport right now, you're starting to see that transition from liquid rain into freezing rain, and that's going to continue through the overnight hours. We're looking at 12 to 18 hours of sustained freezing rain in some of these areas, and ice accumulations could reach a quarter to a half inch in widespread areas. When you get into that half-inch range, you're talking about significant tree damage, widespread power outages, and infrastructure impacts that could last for days or even weeks. Dallas-Fort Worth is also going to see freezing rain develop tonight, particularly across the northern suburbs where temperatures are going to drop below freezing first. As we move through the overnight hours tonight into early tomorrow morning on February 2nd, this low-pressure system is going to begin rapid intensification. The central pressure is going to drop significantly as the system moves northeast toward the Tennessee Valley and eventually into the Ohio Valley. This rapid strengthening is going to create a much more intense precipitation shield, and it's also going to pull in colder air more aggressively than we initially thought. The result is that areas like Nashville, Memphis, and Little Rock that were on the borderline between mostly freezing rain and mostly snow are now looking at a scenario where they could see substantial snowfall. I'm talking about 6 to 10 inches of snow in these areas, which is a significant upward revision from what we were showing yesterday. Memphis in particular could see some of the heavier bands set up right over the metro area during the late morning hours on February 2nd, with snowfall rates potentially reaching 2 inches per hour at times. Now let me talk about the East Coast, because this is where the most significant changes have occurred. The storm track has shifted about 50 to 75 miles farther west than previous model runs. In winter storm forecasting, a 50-mile shift can be the difference between 2 inches of snow and 12 inches of snow. Cities like Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, and New York City are now in a much more favorable position for heavy snowfall. The previous forecast had these cities more on the rain-snow line, dealing with a messy mix of precipitation types. But with this westward shift, we're looking at a scenario where these major metropolitan areas could see 8 to 14 inches of snow, with some localized areas potentially exceeding 16 inches. This is a major winter storm for the I-95 corridor, and it's going to create significant travel disruptions. Let me walk you through the timing for the East Coast. Snow is going to begin moving into the mid-Atlantic region during the pre-dawn hours of February 2nd. If you're in Washington, D.C., you're going to start seeing snow around 4 to 6 a.m. The snow is going to be light at first, but it's going to rapidly intensify through the morning hours. By midday on February 2nd, we're expecting snowfall rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour across the D.C. metro area, with even higher rates farther north in areas like central Pennsylvania and southern New York. The heaviest snow is going to fall during the afternoon and evening hours on February 2nd, and this is when you're going to see the most significant impacts on roadways. If you're planning to travel on Sunday afternoon or evening, I would strongly advise against it. Conditions are going to deteriorate rapidly, and what might be passable at noon could be completely impassable by early evening. As we move into Sunday night and early Monday morning on February 3rd, the storm is going to continue tracking northeast, affecting southern New England. Boston, Providence, and Hartford are now in line for 10 to 16 inches of snow, with some areas potentially reaching 18 to 20 inches in favored locations. What's particularly concerning is that this will be accompanied by very strong winds. We're talking about sustained winds of 25 to 35 miles per hour, with gusts potentially reaching 50 miles per hour along the immediate coastline. This combination of heavy snow and strong winds is going to create near blizzard conditions in some areas, and visibility is going to drop to near zero at times. If you're in coastal Massachusetts or Rhode Island, this is going to be a dangerous situation. Now, I need to talk about the Arctic blast coming behind this storm, because this is arguably the most significant part of this weather pattern. We have an extremely cold air mass currently positioned over central Canada that's going to surge south in the wake of this winter storm. We're looking at temperatures that are going to plunge 30 to 40 degrees below normal across large portions of the eastern United States. High temperatures on Monday and Tuesday, February 3rd and 4th, are going to struggle to get above zero in areas like upstate New York, Vermont, and northern New England. Even farther south, cities like Atlanta, Birmingham, and Charlotte are going to see high temperatures in the teens and low 20s, which is exceptionally cold for these areas. The concern isn't just the cold temperatures themselves. The bigger concern is what happens when you combine these brutally cold temperatures with widespread power outages from ice accumulation. If you're in northern Mississippi, western Tennessee, or northern Alabama, areas that are going to see significant ice accumulation, and you lose power for an extended period, you're looking at a life-threatening situation. Indoor temperatures can drop rapidly when you lose heat in conditions like this, and with outdoor temperatures potentially reaching single digits or even below zero. This becomes a serious public safety concern. I would strongly encourage anyone in these areas to have a backup plan for heat, whether that's a generator, a wood stove, or arrangements to stay with friends or family who have power. Let me address the possibility of snow in Florida. We are not forecasting a major snowstorm for Florida, but what we are seeing is the potential for light snow or snow flurries as far south as northern Florida on the backside of this storm. Areas like Tallahassee, Gainesville, and Jacksonville could see some snow showers or flurries as the Arctic air rushes in behind the departing storm on Monday night into Tuesday morning. The likelihood of accumulation is low, maybe a dusting to an inch in the most favored locations, and this would primarily be on grassy surfaces and elevated areas. But even the possibility of seeing snow in northern Florida is noteworthy because it's exceptionally rare. Now let me talk about specific snowfall totals across different regions. In the Tennessee Valley and Southern Ohio Valley, cities like Nashville, Louisville, and Cincinnati are now looking at 6 to 12 inches of snow. Some isolated locations could see totals approaching 14 inches if you get caught under some of the heavier bands. Washington, D.C. is now looking at 10 to 14 inches of snow, with the potential for localized amounts up to 16 inches in the western suburbs. Baltimore is in a similar range, 8 to 14 inches. Philadelphia is looking at 8 to 12 inches, with higher amounts possible in the northern suburbs. In the New York City metro area, the 5 boroughs are looking at 6 to 10 inches, but areas north and west of the city, places like northern New Jersey and the Hudson Valley, could see 12 to 16 inches. Interior southern New England, areas like Worcester, Hartford, and Providence are looking at 12 to 18 inches. Boston is in the 10 to 16 inch range, with interior areas potentially approaching 20 inches in some locations. Ice accumulation is a critical part of this story. We are expecting significant ice accumulation from eastern Texas through northern Louisiana, southern Arkansas, northern Mississippi, and into western Tennessee. This is where we could see ice accumulation exceeding half an inch, and in isolated areas we could even approach 3/4 of an inch or more. When you get ice accumulation in that range, you're looking at catastrophic impacts to the power grid. Trees start to fail under the weight of the ice. Power lines snap, transformers blow. And the restoration process can take days or weeks because crews have to wait for conditions to improve before they can even begin assessing the damage. If you're in one of these high-risk ice accumulation zones, you need to be prepared for the possibility of extended power outages. That means having flashlights, batteries, a battery-powered radio, non-perishable food, water, and a plan for staying warm. As we look ahead to the days following the storm, the pattern remains very cold. The Arctic air that moves in is going to be reinforced by additional surges of cold air throughout the first full week of February. We're looking at temperatures across the eastern two-thirds of the United States remaining well below normal through at least February 7th or 8th. Some areas could see multiple days where high temperatures don't get above 20 degrees, and overnight lows could drop into the single digits or below zero in many locations. This prolonged cold means any snow and ice that falls is going to remain on the ground for an extended period. We're not going to see much melting, especially in areas where high temperatures remain below freezing for multiple consecutive days. There's also the possibility of additional winter weather later in the week. We're monitoring the potential for another storm system to develop over the southern plains around February 5th or 6th, and depending on how that system evolves, it could bring another round of snow to some areas. It's too early to provide specific details on that potential system, but it's something we're watching closely. The overall pattern is very conducive to winter storm development over the next 7 to 10 days, and we could be looking at multiple rounds of winter weather. I want to emphasize that there is still some uncertainty in this forecast, particularly when it comes to the exact track of the storm and the placement of the heaviest precipitation bands. A shift of 50 miles one way or the other can significantly change the forecast for specific locations. That's why it's important to stay updated on the latest forecasts and not lock into one specific set of numbers. I'm giving you the most likely scenario based on what we're seeing right now, but adjustments are possible as we get new data over the next 12 to 24 hours. This is a major winter storm for the East Coast, significant ice accumulation across the deep south, and a prolonged period of Arctic cold. This is a serious weather situation that requires serious preparation. Make sure you have supplies on hand. Make sure you have a plan for staying warm if you lose power. Check on neighbors, especially elderly neighbors who may be more vulnerable. And please avoid unnecessary travel during the height of the storm. I'll continue to provide updates as we get closer to the event and as the forecast evolves. Thank you for trusting me to provide you with the latest information on this developing winter storm situation. Stay safe out there.